All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Thanks for being here today on our live stream again. You guys are probably, this is Dr. Phil. I'm back. You guys are probably wishing that Dr. Meg was back with us today. She gave away the money. That was the best part. She gave away the money last week. Congratulations to Kendra Cervantes for winning the $1,100. That was awesome. A lot of fun with regards to that. But we're back this week, and we are going to be giving away some more money. We're going to be giving away $200 today. We're going to draw 5 names. So hopefully that will bring some people on board, and we'll be able to give away some more money. So looking forward to that. Before we get started, I want to make sure that we were able to announce that our fall conference, we're just 1 week away from our fall conference. So if you've been thinking about going, I know I've had some people reaching out to me and things of that nature about the fall conference. This is the time to close the deal. I do believe we have a couple of rooms left on the room block. So that would be something that you can ultimately take advantage of. You could still get in on single day tickets, full conference tickets, all of that kind of stuff. So again, the speaker lineup is going to be awesome, and it's something that you can ultimately take advantage of. So looking forward to seeing you guys next week. That's going to be a fun event. Again, I am still looking for a golf buddy. If you can, Thursday, or let's see, Friday morning, looking for golf buddy, 7:20 a.m. So if you can join us there, that will really be a great time. That should be a really good time. I want to give us just a minute to. We're having some technical difficulties getting our guest in here. Hopefully, if either Tiffany or Dawn are on the chat today, they can get us in touch with our guest and help the guest get logged in here today. Not quite sure why we're having troubles getting the guest on. I do not see him in the waiting room, Tiffany. So that's the thing. If somebody can call him and help him enter the studio, that's what needs to be done. But I know that we're going to be talking with Eric Hoffman from CalChiro Jobs today. Eric and I have been buddies now for a while. In fact, we've been working together quite a bit in this recruiting space, job finding space. I really got into this myself about 2-3 years ago. As many of you know, I've been an adjunct professor at LifeWest Chiropractic College. And, in that environment, I just started to recognize that there was a lot of students that were looking to become associates. And there was a lot of doctors, practitioners that were looking to hire associates. And so I said to myself, is there a way ultimately that I can connect everybody? Is there a way that I can start bringing people together? And so over the last couple of years, I really dove into that space and worked hard to understand it, understand what the needs are of both parties on the student side. Things like, what does it mean to actually be an employee or an employer? A lot of times that gets misunderstood in the chiropractic space. And eventually I came in contact with Eric, and Eric has developed a platform called ChiroJobs.com. And ChiroJobs.com basically is a platform, a web platform in which you can create job postings. If you're a student with us on the call, you can add your name to Chiro Jobs without any challenges. There's no cost for you as a student to add your name to the database and that type of thing. And I know that Eric and I are both committed to doing that. So, good. It looks like we got Eric online with us now. So I'm going to go ahead and let him in the room. There he is. How you doing, man?
Good. How are you?
Right on. I'm glad we got you figured out on the technical side. So
Thanks for having me.
I was just telling everybody a little bit about our journey and how we got here today.
Yeah.
And you could share with us a little bit too about how you got to this point and what you've created. Basically, want to just start there?
Sure. Yeah. So you may have touched on this, but my family has known the Dieter family for quite a long time. We go way back. And my dad, Dr. Stuart Hoffman, he's been in the profession for 40 plus years, both on the practice side as well as the business side. So I got my start in roughly 2011, and I came on board with my dad's company, CalChiro Secure, which is a malpractice insurance company, to start, help growing that. And I've been doing that for, the last 13 years or so, 13 and a half years. And through that, one of the most common questions that I would get outside of risk management topics is employment related. And I would say on average, maybe once a week, once every other week, I would get a call from one of our doctors that would basically say something like, "Hey, I know this isn't what you guys do, but I need an associate really bad, and I
Yeah.
have a really hard time finding one. So you guys insure a lot of people. You must know somebody. Can you help?" And the answer was always no, sorry, it's not what we do. We don't ask people whether they're looking or not. And check your state association, check CalChiro, check your alma mater, and pretend it's the 90s and figure it out. And so
Yeah.
that was the canned answer for over a decade. And then maybe 12 months ago or so, I got that question 3 times in one day, and it pissed me off enough where I decided to do something about it.
Great
And so,
motivator.
yeah, so I went online, I found the domain ChiroJobs.com because that seemed like the most logical domain. I bought it and went off to the races. And now today we're active and running, and we have, hundreds of doctors on the platform, and we're helping a lot of clinics fill open associateships, and we're doing a great job at that. So the idea, for those who aren't aware of what it is my intention was to replicate something like Indeed.com,
Yeah.
but specific for the chiropractic profession. And it's been missing in the profession. There's not really been one centralized approach to bring everybody worldwide into one operating system to be able to make the hiring process much more efficient, where you have an employer and an employee or associate, whatever you want to call it, come together autonomously on one platform. And that's what Indeed does they do it really well for Fortune 500 companies. But when you're a chiropractor, they don't understand what you do. You can't search by technique on Indeed. You can't
Mhm.
look at the chiropractic college. They're not even familiar. You probably can't even type in your chiropractic college into Indeed. They just aren't equipped to do that. It's a very niche profession. And you and I, Phil, know more than most how unique our peers are. And
Yeah.
so
Absolutely.
it takes an insider to be able to kind of match those pieces. And that's, the long and short of what we're doing today with Chiro Jobs.
Well, I appreciate you talking about our family connections. I hadn't spoke about that. I was discussing a little bit more about the platform like you
Yeah.
just did right now. But, I'm always grateful to your family and for all of the mentorship and guidance that they've given me, and now the support that they're giving CalChiro. So I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to spending time with you guys at the fall conference
Coming
coming
up.
up, and at our speed networking event and all of that kind of stuff. So it should be, we're going to have a good time next week at the fall conference.
That's right.
I wanted to dive into some of the content today that we discussed. And I know that, we have talked numerous times about, employers, do they really even know what it means to hire an employee and to have an employee? So I know you had some points that you wanted to share with us. Why don't we just get into that first point today, kind of what we had discussed, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. Would you like me to share my screen?
Yeah, if you can.
Okay, let's take a look. Can you see it?
I just got to show it on the stream. Here we go. Perfect.
You got it?
Yes, sir.
All right. So the topic is 5 common mistakes employers make, which is a good starting off point for everyone.
Yep.
So what we already kind of touched on what Chiro Jobs does. You guys can read this. I'm sure we can disseminate the presentation at some point.
Right.
But the long and short of it is a platform intended to connect employers and associates in a much more efficient manner. So that's what we do. That's how we do it. And I think the goal, and you tell me, Phil, but my intention is to go through each of the 5 mistakes and kind of talk about it because you have the real world experience hiring
Sure.
for your own clinic.
Yeah.
And we can offer some guidance for the listeners to avoid them. So
That's what I'm excited to do. Yep.
yeah, mistake number 1. This is, I think, a common and most important one that I get to see, assuming that the new hire can quote unquote hit the ground running, meaning they're, ready to go day one to go tackle the 100 patient visits that the office is expecting that day. So, to give an example, a chiropractor hires an associate straight from another clinic or from, chiropractic school once they're licensed, assuming they immediately adapt. However, the associate struggles with the clinic's unique EHR system and takes longer to meet patient quotas or patient visits, leading to frustration on both ends. So, Phil, have you experienced something like this before?
Absolutely, man. And that's one of the reasons that, I always tell people that when they call me or talk to me about this, you got to have a runway in place to get people onboarded, and
Totally.
you really got to have an onboarding process. That's one of the things that I have seen so oftentimes in the chiropractic spaces. We're not used to being an employer in the traditional sense, right?
Right.
And so onboarding, like that's probably something you do as part of your corporation all the
Yep.
time.
Absolutely. Yeah. So to make this real, in fact, through Cairo Jobs, we have to regularly turn down employers who want to pay us money to post their positions because it's clear they're just not ready to bring on an associate. And we don't want, there to be two losing parties in a transaction that makes us look worse as, a service, but really doesn't work for the profession. So when I get calls from clinics basically saying, "Listen, I'm in over my head. We have a good problem that a lot of people want to come see us, but we're just a mess internally, and we need somebody else to come in and take care of that mess."
And
That's
I
a
think,
recipe for disaster. And what I tell those clinic owners is, "Listen, you're thinking in the right direction, but you're probably 6 months premature. Before you do anything, you need to have some organization in place. You need to have some protocols in place so that when you do bring somebody on, they can follow that direction and be clear on what your expectations are, what the processes are of the clinic, and have it be a simple and obvious solution for everybody involved, whether you're directing it or your office manager or somebody else is directing it. There needs to be some clear and concise directive for an associate to come in and be able to follow and have certain expectations. If they don't meet those expectations, that's a different story, but you have to at least have the expectations in place so that it can be a win-win for both parties.
And I think one of the things that goes like unknown is the preceptor possibilities that exist out there, right? And
Right.
even the opportunity for paid preceptorships. If you're a student joining us, you may not even know that you can get a paid preceptorship while you're awaiting licensure and things of that nature. And I know that's some of the things that you can help us
Yeah.
with well, in that regard. So
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, through COVID, believe it or not, it actually opened up a lot of unique opportunities that didn't previously exist. As you probably know, Phil, a lot of the colleges opened up their, clinic, what would I call it?
opportunities, you
Opportunities.
get into the workplace sooner and faster.
Right, right. So when clinics were closed during COVID, but some outside or independent clinics were open, they needed some solution. So they opened that opportunity up for students, and most have just left it open for students to be able to go out to a real world situation versus in the, college clinic setting and be able to experience what it's like outside of the school mentality. And a lot of those are paid, like you said. So
Yeah. One of the
we
maybe a blessing of COVID
yeah,
was
exactly.
push the
One
hand
of
of
the
that.
very few.
Yeah. Well, let's go on to the
Yeah.
second mistake.
Yeah, so assuming new hires are self-motivated. So the example here is a clinic hires a recent chiropractic graduate and assumes that they will self-direct patient flow and treatment plans. However, without detailed guidance, the associate hesitates, fearing they may make mistakes, leading to lower performance and patient dissatisfaction. So this is kind of a segue from mistake number one, where those protocols, when they're not in place, it makes it very hard for the associate to know how to proceed forward. And with let's just use this recent chiropractic graduate, they're not going to be able to self-direct patient flow or treatment plans on day one. It's a practice, it's a process, and every clinic, by the way, is unique and different. Every clinic I've been to has this very specific way that they sell treatment plans or bring new patients on board. There's certain similarities, but there's a lot of unique differences. So
I
that's
think
a big part. Yeah, go ahead.
one of the things that I see all the time, is the majority of people looking to hire somebody have built their own business, right? And so they come into this exercise thinking, okay, I'm going to find somebody who wants to go and build it just like I did.
Right.
And that's a huge mistake, right?
Yeah.
Most importantly, having a job description that explicitly outlines, here's your role, here's your responsibilities. And then secondarily, having a training program in place that helps them meet those expectations can help you avoid this mistake.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's really important. And, one thing that we'll maybe touch on later in the presentation is we're at a unique point in the chiropractic profession that there's a lot of corporatization going on right now, a lot of consolidation of clinics, a lot of bigger businesses being created, whether it's the Chiro Ones of the world, the Joints, more of a franchise model, whatever it is, and a lot of private equity money coming in to bring the profession to the bigger masses, which to me is a really important thing for the profession. It legitimizes it. It brings a lot of money and investment to it. It brings a lot of lobbying power to it in front of health insurance companies.
Now you're talking my language.
Yeah, but the point of that is if you're an independent clinic, you should be looking to those groups for guidance and try and copy a lot of the things they're doing. There's a reason they're in that position. And if you're able to kind of synthesize why they got there, their processes, their protocols, their onboarding solutions, et cetera, that's going to be a good starting point for any employer to be able to follow these steps and guidelines to be able to bring on an associate and build your practice like
that's great advice.
The others are doing. So just, food for thought on that one.
Yeah, that's great advice. Let's go. Good. Let's go on to mistake number 3.
Yeah, expecting immediate return on income. So a chiropractor hires an associate and expects them to be financially profitable within 3 months. However, after 6 months, the practice is still breaking even, causing frustration. This overlooks the time needed for the associate to build rapport with patients and learn clinic systems. So I'll start and let you chime in, Phil, but
Sure.
I tell employers that you should expect a minimum of roughly 6 to 12 months of either status quo or worse until the practice starts running much smoother with the addition of an associate. What's your experience been, Phil?
Yeah, I say you're definitely you're in the red probably for 3 to 6 months because especially if you haven't done that preceptorship program, especially if you don't have the training systems in place, because you're learning as you go, right?
Yeah.
And once you get to that 12-month, you're about at break even, and where you could potentially be profitable as an employer. And I say that maybe not with a grain of salt, but let's be real here. Nobody's hiring associates out of the goodness of their heart. They're looking to build their business, right? They're looking to be profitable with the extra hands that they're hiring, right? And so that profitable window is really your 18 to 24 month window.
Yeah.
In cases, maybe 14 month, that kind of thing.
I agree 100%. Yeah. I mean, I think part of the issue I've noticed over my entire life being in chiropractic is that there's a lot of disconnected expectations when you are a clinic owner or even an associate that hasn't really been solved for in the profession, and it's caused this whole employment practice to be problematic for a long time. I've never seen it be efficient in chiropractic as opposed to some other professions. And so, if you really think about this as a holistic approach and what you should expect as an employer, then you're on the right starting point. And I think that'll bring you to a better position to be able to.
One of the things I love about you and your family is that you guys run a business, and so many chiropractors, they're running mom and pop shops still.
Yeah.
We got to get to the point in this profession where we're running businesses, we're creating job descriptions, we have HR protocols in place. We're doing the things that need to be done when they need to be done, whether we like it or not, like Dr. Sid used to say, right?
Yep.
And, so let's go on to mistake number 4.
Perfect. Overestimating clinical proficiency. So fairly obvious one. A clinic hires a new graduate with excellent school grades, but quickly realizes they struggle with hands-on adjustments and diagnostic accuracy. The results in patient complaints and longer appointment times. So, this can be summed up in one obvious statement. Practice makes perfect. A student coming out of school, they have certain level of clinical hours that they have to achieve in order to graduate and get licensed, but that's not the real world. You're not seeing, 50, 100, 200 patients a week as a student clinician. It's just not a reality. And
Yeah.
so you need those reps, you need those 10,000 hours, as they say, in order to actually become proficient and be able to be clinically excellent in a practice setting. So to expect that is, again, one of those misalignments that a lot of employers have. I talk to a lot of employers who really are eager to bring new graduates on because they're green, they're fresh, they, can be adaptable. But there's drawbacks to that, and this is one of them, that you have to have the right expectations that they're not going to be a seasoned doctor right away. And so some employers are better suited to bring on somebody who has 3, 5, 10 years of experience treating patients and having much more of a proficient approach from a clinical perspective.
I think
Any
one of
thoughts?
the weaknesses that we have in our profession is that we lack for residencies.
Yeah.
Is from a medical education perspective, your residency is really where you get that experience
Right.
in case management, diagnosis, all of those kind of things, right?
Yep.
And I think one of the things that's incumbent upon any employer looking to hire, especially a new graduate, is having regular checkpoints, whether it's every morning, every evening, every week, every month, whatever it is, to review statistics, to review whatever's going on with cases, to review x-rays with the person. You have to make that part of the ongoing training process, and it has to be systematic. You can't just say, I'll get around to it when there's time. It's got to
Right.
be built into your schedule every Thursday at 1:00. This is when I do it.
Yeah. And a question for you, Phil. When you bring on an associate, and you're interviewing, several docs, do you have them adjust you first as the first starting point in the interview process? Or how do you approach that from a
So
clinical
my
perspective?
first stop, the first thing I always do is have them do personality profiles.
Okay.
The personality profile that I prefer the most is the DISC profile, or the DISC.
Hmm.
And the reason that I like that is that the DISC tells you what your interview style is, what your working style is, and then what your self-perception style is. And I don't want to bias the test too much. If anybody wants to take it, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to send it to you, and we can analyze it together. But I want to know what's going to happen. I want to know if somebody's telling me what they think I want to hear, first of
Right.
all, in an interview. And then I want to know what's going to happen to them under stress. And I want to know the value that they can bring to our organization. Because quite frankly, not everybody might be cut out to be an associate. If
Right.
I see certain profile characteristics, I might advise them, you know what, you're probably better off opening your own clinic, or finding somebody that can help you develop your own clinic, right? Because you're not going
Yeah.
to be happy in an associate position. So I have seen those characteristics. I always try to see what people's hands feel like. I want to be able to, the powers in the palpation, right? And you
Yeah.
want to be able to feel the energy, the confidence, the certainty in the hands. And I can tell, even in a handshake, in some regards, you know, is this going to be somebody that I have to do a lot of work with on an adjusting level, or more on a business level, or more on a patient development level, or on a patient recruitment level? So that's really how I approach the initial steps.
And I've heard and witnessed a little bit firsthand that more recent graduates have less of a confident approach than previous graduates in years past. Have you noticed that? And if so, what do you think is the potential solution there?
I've only really been privy a lot to the California school kids that
Hmm.
we work. A lot of them here on this call, from Palmer, from Life West, from Southern California University of Health Sciences. And I think a lot of it just goes to the individual in terms of where do they put their emphasis, right? And it is a bit of a challenge for them, I will admit, and something I constantly think about, because if you're putting all your time on getting through boards, or passing your classes and getting through boards, maybe you didn't put as much time into your palpation and your
Right.
adjusting skills. But on the other end, if you put a lot of time into your palpation and your adjusting skills, well, maybe you're going to struggle with boards. So it's certainly
A catch 22.
I have some bigger thoughts about it, in terms of chiropractic education and things of that nature, or
Yeah,
talking maybe with the CCE or something along those lines. But one step at a time.
exactly. I'm with you there. All right, number 5. Assuming money is the primary motivator. A chiropractor offers an attractive salary but fails to provide a positive work-life balance, expecting long hours and weekend shifts. The associate, feeling burnt out, resigns within a year despite the high pay. So there's different iterations of this example that I've seen. The most common one that I'll say is in clinics that are more of the mom and pop shop style. Maybe they have a unique technique that they use that people gravitate towards, but they're offering, $50,000 as a starting salary coming out of school, which is,
Right.
Unreasonable or something to that effect. And they're expecting them to be basically the clinic owner, to run the shop because they're
Yeah.
getting older. And we're seeing a lot more of that. The profession is aging out rapidly. There's a lot of old practitioners in the profession that will no longer be able to adjust or will no longer be here in the next, couple of decades. So a lot of those clinic owners are looking towards the younger generation to
Right.
essentially supplement their income and their practice to kind of take over without explicitly stating that. And so, you can pay them whatever you want, but at the end of the day, if you're expecting them to act like the owner, then there needs to be a different setup and a different expectation associated with that. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head, and again, that's why I go back to some of the personality profiling, is because not everybody's going to be cut out to work in a private practice and go out and find patients, right?
Right.
And that's really where I think, to you, what you said earlier about the franchises, it provides some infrastructure that we have sorely lacked in the chiropractic profession, and a lot of people can thrive in that environment and have positive work-life balance. And so I think that's a important point. I
Yeah.
want to also something that I think is really important to mention too. If you're going into these opportunities either as an employer or as a student or new graduate, understand what it means to be an employer and an employee.
Yeah.
Oftentimes I hear people tell me, "Oh, I'm going to go be an independent contractor." Well, that doesn't really exist in the chiropractic space. Either you're paying rent in somebody's office or
Right.
you're working for them. Those
Yeah.
are your two options.
Yeah. And just to touch on that real quick, I get this question all the time on the ChiroSecure side. Being an independent contractor is just a tax scheme for the owner.
Right.
It's no, you are an employee. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They're just paying you as a 1099, and there's likely a reason for that. So I think that's slowly going away. I think more and more we're leaning towards just the straight W-2 associate employees. But yeah, I mean, independent contractor, if you're going that route, you're better off starting your own clinic. It does
Absolutely.
make sense. So
Well,
I agree.
I feel like this has been so informative today. Obviously, I'm heavily involved, and so
Yeah.
I might be a little biased, but tell us how people connect with you.
Yeah.
Do you have-
So there's my my mug, and here's a QR code if you guys want to learn more about what we're doing at Chiro Jobs. This will take you to one of our home pages to give you an idea of what we're doing and give you a feel for the website and the platform. So if you're a student or an associate, you can sign up for free. It takes no more than 2 minutes to complete your profile, similar to in Indeed or LinkedIn. If you're an employer and you're looking to work with us to find an associate for you, feel free to reach out via the website, or my email is pretty straightforward. It's just my first name, eric@chirojobs.com. And we'd be more than happy to talk with you about some of the solutions we have. And Phil's been a great asset and supporter of us. We are grateful for him. We're grateful to the CalChiro Association and all the support we've been given. So yeah, thanks for having us. And
Absolutely.
we really appreciate the opportunity.
Again, so grateful, man, for all of the support you guys have given us and continue to give us. As I was sitting here talking to you, I was thinking about how I had a conversation with your dad at the CalChiro fall conference in San Diego one time before I ever even thought about hiring an associate. And that conversation has stuck in my head and been so valuable to me, even in this journey now. So I probably have to give him more credit when I see him.
He would appreciate that, and he loves you and your dad and your whole family. So he sends his kudos as well.
Well, let's get on to the fun stuff in terms of spinning the wheel and trying to give away some money.
Of course.
Would you mind stop sharing your screen?
Sorry about that.
You can do that.
There you
go.
go.
We can bring up the wheel here in just a second. Remember, if you're on with us right now, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. That's how you get to know when the broadcast is going live. We are not going to be live next week because we're going to be in Palm Springs. It's not too late to sign up for the Palm Springs Fall Conference, even if you just come and join us for a day or drive in on Saturday and come and hang out at some of the parties or play in the putting contest or whatever it is. There's going to be some cool stuff going on. So I hope we can see you guys out there. This has been a lot of fun doing this. I feel like I got to figure out a way to keep doing these after the fall conference because we've been enjoying it so much. So, all right, let's bring up the wheel. I'm going to bring up the wheel. Now, before we spin the wheel, let's just remember we are going to spin 5 names today. We're giving away $200. Thank you, Tiffany, for the reminder. We're going to be trying to give away $200 to win the money. You must be a member of CalChiro. You must be on the live stream right now. This is when you're going to tell your friends to log on if they haven't been joining us. And you have to respond in the chat in 30 seconds. I was going to try to bring the timer up too. We have this fancy little timer that I've been, let me see if I can bring the timer up simultaneously. And it doesn't, I want to make sure it doesn't obscure. Nope, it overlays the wheel. So we can't do that. We got to stop screen sharing for me because I want everybody to be able to see the wheel. Let's make sure we have the wheel up. I'll try to play the timer in the background. Hopefully you guys can hear me. All right, let's spin the first name.
Wait, I got you covered, Phil.
Okay.
Do you want me to start the timer?
No, not till we hear the name. Not till we see the name. The suspense builds. Paul Zakowski. I know him. Paul Zakowski. Oh, look at Eric's got a timer for us. It's backwards, but it works. You see how many seconds. I don't know if Paul's going to be on with us here today because I just saw that he was in Hawaii or something like that with Stacy Adams. Oh, big shout out to Paul and Stacy. They're some of the people that jumped me in the gang here. Stacy's the one that invited me, and Grace, if Grace is on here, I'm not forgetting you, to my first legislative day. I don't see Paul Zakowski coming on today.
Ding, ding, ding.
And look at the monster they've created after, I don't remember when that was, but we were advocating for 2706 inclusion. All right, let's do name number 2. We're still advocating for 2706 inclusion. Well, we're closer now than we've ever been, so we're sticking with it. All right, name number 2 coming up. Tristan Angelo. Can I get 30 seconds? I'm going to have all the guests do this. All right. That works out good. Perfect. Tristan Angelo, you are a winner, but you got to be here to claim your prize. Oh, Marissa. So glad to see Marissa here again. She's been a faithful listener. Robbie Butler, faithful listener. Totally appreciate your guys' support. My buddy Art. Art, you're bringing quite a few students down to Palm Springs next week. I'm looking forward to that, hanging out with you guys. Hopefully you'll get them signed up on the platform. That's 30 seconds. I didn't see Tristan, so let's do name number 3. I hope it's working out good. Every new guest is going to have to run the timer, man. We just created a new feature. All right, name number 3. Kenneth Thomas. I haven't seen a Kenneth Thomas in the chat, but here we go. Kenneth, you got 30 seconds to come and claim your prize. Man, I'm looking forward to next weekend. I can't believe it's already here. It felt like it was something that was so far in the distance, and now all of a sudden I'm just like, okay, here we go. It's go time. I know the staff must be feeling like that too.
Hopefully it cools off a little bit.
Thank you so much to all the staff for helping out with this project and this initiative. Dawn, Tiffany, Kaylee, Shasta, you guys all have really helped making this happen. So, all right, that was 30 seconds. We got 2 more names. 2 more names. Here we go. All right. This is name number 4. Name number 4. Zachary Gamble, you have 30 seconds to come and claim your prize. So we're going to have to figure out what to do with the money if no one wins today. Well, maybe we'll do something there. Or, I don't know. I'm open to ideas if anybody's got any ideas. But I definitely recommend if you're a student on this with us today, get signed up on Chiro Jobs. Let's get you figured out. Find you a good landing spot. And even if we don't, I know Eric and I am always here to help you with whatever you need in terms of employment questions.
That's right.
All right, Zachary, Here's our final name. Here we go. And come and visit Chiro Secure and Chiro Jobs at the conference next week. They're going to have a booth. We've been talking about Chiro Jobs also being the sponsor for the Speed Networking event, which I know a lot of students will be at.
Yep.
All right, Boris Pan is our final name. You have 30 seconds. Oh, man. So we're going to have some money to give away. So we're going to have to figure out how to do it. Maybe I could go live at the Speed Networking event. That might be kind of crazy. That could be interesting, and we could raffle off some money there. But we'll see what happens. It doesn't look like Boris is going to be here. He's got 8 seconds, 7 seconds. All right. Well, like I said, make sure you like and subscribe so that when we come back after fall conference, we can get you on the broadcast. We're going to figure out a way to make it fun. I want to have more guests like Eric who have lots of information to share. Maybe, again, we can have you come on and talk more about Chiro Secure and
happy to.
Some of the risk management stuff, which I know you have been so helpful to me and our office and anybody who's looking for malpractice help, as well. The Hoffman family and Chiro Secure, it's like they're on your home team. So really appreciate you being on today, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Really appreciate the opportunity.
Hopefully you had fun.